Hi, I'm Adam Summer. You're listening to the Yerushalmi Talk podcast with the support of the Yeshivat Devar Yerushalayim in Har Nof, Jerusalem. This is Sheviis, Chapter 8, Halacha 5, and today we're going to be covering what do you do about when you get Sheviis money? What happens if you make a transaction and you got money that has Kedusha of Sheviis on it? My son is here, Aaron Yudaleib, and he's coming and joining us in the shir, and we're learning Torah together. So I get the mitzvah of teaching my son Torah. So this Mishnah and this halacha is fantastic, and I tell you what, it doesn't end the way you think it's going to end. It's really a brilliant ending. Now, the Mishnah says one may not give Sheviis money or Sheviis produce to a well digger for water. So a well digger is really interesting. We learned that for basic uses of Sheviis, you have certain things you could do with the Sheviis money. Okay, you can go ahead and you can drink with it, and you can anoint with it, and you can get food with it, but you can't do business with it. So the Chazan Ish points out about this Mishnah that one of the considerations about this is that the well digger is actually doing business, and he's actually collecting this Sheviis money that has Sheviis sanctity, and he's doing it as a business. And that's what's going to be an issue about that. Also implicit in this is to say, well, we know that if the well digger is sitting there making a well, and this is how water came in the old days, well, maybe this water is not necessarily going to be used for human use. Maybe it can be used for animals, or maybe it'll be used for laundry. And the idea here, says the Mishnah, is one may not give Sheviis money or the produce to a well digger for water. But then you say, but wait a second, isn't water going to be a necessity of life? And again, you're going to say, well, maybe this well digger is building a well for other uses as well. Maybe it's not just for human drinking. The Mishnah continues and it says, nor to a bathhouse attendant for a bath, nor to a barber for a haircut, nor to a boat operator for crossing the water. Now, these are all basically essential things. And, drinking is essential, and getting a haircut's essential, and also going and bathing. And the idea is that these people are doing business with the Sheviis produce or the Sheviis money, and it's not really being done as a gift, and the service is not being done as a gift. So in a way, it's really like doing business with Sheviis produce or Sheviis money, which is not allowed. So, in all of these cases, the person who's giving over the money really needs the service. And, when you need a haircut, you really need a haircut. And this is not really a gift. This is really something that you actually need. So that's going to be part of the idea here. Now, the Mishnah changes course and it says, but he may give Sheviis money to a well digger for water to drink. And again, this comes up and this says, well, drinking is going to be allowed for Sheviis. Okay, so this well digger went and built a well, and now he's trading the water for the money. Now that's going to be a permitted transaction. And the permit, by the way, is going to be even if the water was not dug yet. In other words, if this well digger says, I'm digging this well for human consumption, and you can buy 1/20th share of it and give me over some Sheviis money, that's going to be the idea, because it's going to be used for drinking, it's going to be used for humans, and the money is going to have Sheviis sanctity, and the well digger, by the way, when he gets this money, he has to use it with Sheviis sanctity. Now, water does not have Sheviis sanctity. This is a case where this fellow who wants the water already has Sheviis coins that have Sheviis sanctity on it. In other words, he made a trade with someone else. Now he has these coins. And what this mission is trying to cover is, what can you do with this money? What can you do with it? So what's going to be the difference between the first case where one may not give Sheviis money to a well digger and this case where it says that he may give Sheviis money to a well digger for a drink of water? There's a subtlety here. The subtlety here is that, this is where, the person is actually going to use the water. And in the other case, the well digger might be selling water to, water animals and, feed animals. This is a case where he's actually trading the Sheviis coins for water, which is an essential thing for life. And the Mishnah is going to continue. It's going to say, but he may give Sheviis money to any of them as a free gift. And the Mara Fulda says about this that he's allowed to give any artisan as a gift without stipulation, because he knows that this is a gift to an artisan, and that he's not going to demand payment. And the Ansei Shem is saying that you're permitted to give a gift before the service is needed, and when the giver eventually needs the service, the artisan is going to provide it for free, like it's a genuine gift. But it's not allowed to give a gift at the time when the service is actually needed, because this is going to be actually a way to try to cheat the system. So, it's not allowed to give the gift after the service is provided as well, because this is also like, what we learned in the last halacha, where you've effectively created a debt, and you're not allowed to pay Sheviis obligations with a debt. The Chazan Ish has a different version on this, and he's saying that the Mishnah means that it is allowed to give a gift even at the time that the service is needed, and the artisan may provide the service as a gift, but the rabbis were lenient in regard to this arrangement, even though it's a way to essentially circumvent Sheviis law. By the way, there's more about this in Bavli and Sukkah 41a. And the Gemara is going to get right at it, and it's going to say that it was taught in a baraisa that one may not give Sheviis money to a bathhouse attendant for a bath, nor to a barber for a haircut, nor to a boat operator for crossing the water. And all of this, by the way, says the Vilna Goan, is where, the Mishnah is listing a well digger among those who may not be paid with Sheviis money. The Vilna Goan says that the Tanakama, this brisa, omits the well digger, and he's basically going to be permitting the well digger with Sheviis money, but this is going to have a lot of caveats to it. So that's the note by the Vilna Goan. Anyway, let me read that list again. And the Vilna Goan points out that the well digger is not listed in this list, even though in the Mishnah it was, and the reason why is going to come up. So the Gemara says it was taught in the Brisa one may not give Sheviis money to a bathhouse attendant for a bath, nor to a barber for a haircut, nor to a boat operator for crossing the water. Again, these are still essential things. I mean, it's essential to bathe yourself. It's essential to cross a body of water if you have to cross a body of water. Rabbi Yossi says one also may not give Sheviis money to a well digger for water. So this is going to be added by Rabbi Yossi. Now, let's look at this contradiction. So the Gemara says that the opinions of Rabbi Yossi are inconsistent. And over in the Tosefta 617, that's going to be in Sheviis 617 in the Tosefta, Rabbi Yossi says that one may buy water and salt with Sheviis money. And here, Rabbi Yossi says that one may not give Sheviis money to a well digger for water. So that seems to be, confusing. And it would look like, says the Mara Fulda, that the Gemara understands Rabbi Yossi's blanket statement that in fact it's forbidding the payment of Sheviis money to a well digger, even where he's going to go supply the water. Now, this Tosefta over here by Rabbi Yossi, over here he's saying, yeah, but you can buy salt and water. So what's going to be the difference with this well digger who's going to be providing money for water? And the Gemara is going to answer. So Rabbi Yossi Bar Zavda said, what is the case of the well digger under dispute by Rabbi Yossi and the rabbis? And in the first brisa, where Rabbi Yossi forbids paying him with Sheviis money, it's going to be that the well digger who supplies a person with water for his general needs, and Rabbi Yossi is going to prohibit paying this well digger with Sheviis money. But with respect to one who supplies water for drinking, even Rabbi Yossi agrees that it's allowed to pay him with Sheviis money, and this is going to be the rule that he's doing in this Tosefta. That's right. So the idea is that we have this essential thing that we need, and the question is going to be, well, what's going to be the point of Rabbi Yossi exactly? And the Gemara is going to explain it. It's going to say you can infer that who is the Tana of the Mishnah who states, but he may give Sheviis money to a well digger for water to drink. It's Rabbi Yossi. Now, what's going on here? And the Vilna Goan is going to explain it. It's going to say it can't be that the Tana Kama of the side of Baraisa, because since he omits any restriction on paying a well digger, he must permit using Sheviis money even to buy non-drinking water, whereas the Tana of the Mishnah permits using it only for drinking water. So the Tana Kama, says the Vilna Goan, is maintaining that since water for all its uses are an essential necessity, the rabbis are lenient with regard to using Sheviis funds for the purpose. And the Gemara now is going to explain the opinion of the Tana Kama. So the Gemara is going to continue, and we're going to get the view of the Tana Kama. This is going to be the opposing opinion of Rabbi Yossi, and the Rabbi Yasa is saying now the opinion of the Tana Kama. Actually, we can explain that the Mishnah is reflective of the opinion of all, both the Tana Kama side and the Baraisa, and the Vilna Gaon is going to explain about it like this. He's going to say that the Tana Kama agrees that one may not pay a well digger for water for general needs, and that he permits paying a well digger for Sheviis money. And the idea is that it's for general needs. And he's referring to someone who supplies drinking water. So it's going to follow that when Rabbi Yossi says in the Brisa, and he's going to forbid paying the well digger with Sheviis funds, he's referring even to one who supplies the drinking water. And as far as the apparent contradiction between the ruling and Rabbi Yossi's ruling in the Tosefta that one may buy water with Sheviis money, we're going to resolve it like this. So here's the resolution between the Tosefta and this Brisa. So the Gemara is going to say, here in the Tosefta, we are dealing with the purchase of drinking water for a person. And here in this Brisa, we're dealing with the purchase of drinking water for an animal. So that's going to be the difference between the two. And so Rabbi Yossi is going to allow Sheviis money for human consumption. But over there, where it looks like Rabbi Yossi is not allowing it, he's not allowing you to take the money and use it to buy for animal consumption. And that really makes a lot of sense. So the Tana Kama is actually going to be ruling more leniently than Rabbi Yossi. And the Tana Kama is going to be saying that you can use the Sheviis money even to buy the water for an animal, but you may not use the water, say the Tana Kama, for general needs like laundry. And this is going to get us into the next topic. So we have this contradiction between these two rulings of Rabbi Yossi, and we understand that on one side is talking about the purchase of water for an animal, the other side is talking about the purchase of water for a person. And that's going to be the issue. Now, the Tana Kama don't have this problem with purchasing the water for your animal, but Rabbi Yossi does. So it was taught in the Baraisa. This is going to be in the Tosefta and Baba Metzia 11.4, that says, regarding a spring that originates within a city so that it belongs to the residents of the city, and from there continues to flow into another city. And the Gemara is going to continue that, if this is not enough drinking water for both cities, then the residents of the first city must choose between sustaining their lives and the lives of other people. And if they have to choose between the lives of others and their animals, or the lives of others that take precedence over their own animals. So the Brisa says, but if they have to choose between their own laundering and the lives of others, their laundering is going to take precedence over the lives of others. So the idea, says the Mara Fulda about this, is that if in addition to the people of the city, there's enough water either for their own animals or for the people of the other city, they must allow the water to flow freely to the next city, because the lives of other people take precedence over the lives of the city's animals. And the Ran is saying about this that the people of the city with whom the spring belongs needs the excess water for laundry, and while the people of the other city need it for drinking. Now, this comes up in Bavli Nedarim 81a. It comes up in a few places in the Shas, and the idea is that if you wear dirty, filthy clothes and clothes that are sweaty and they smell, and maybe even they're still wet, and then they're stiff from the salt from your sweat, and they're soiled from working in them, and they're dirty, it's going to lead to mental illness. Okay, this is a theme that comes up in both Shas's. You see that in Bavli Nedarim 81a. And to prevent mental illness, the onset of mental illness, they're going to consider doing laundry, and the Chochmah of the Torah is going to consider doing laundry an essential thing to life. And it's also going to, be a case where, their own lives are going to take precedence over the lives of others. So what do you do about the laundry? Now, that's going to be why, this is saying that their own laundry takes precedence over the lives of others, because, again, you're going to end up with mental illness. Keep in mind that before Har Sinai, Moshe Rabbeinu had them clean their clothes 3 days before. Everybody was effectively the kovis. Everybody was the laundryman. And, one of the things that we're supposed to do is we're supposed to know the stories of the laundrymen. And this is a roundabout way of looking at the laundrymen, because, it's an essential thing to saving people's lives. It's an essential thing to do so people don't get crazy and get dementia. Now, so you can see that the laundryman is actually doing a job that is actually a valuable necessity to human existence. Now, the Gemara is going to identify the Tana who authors this Baraisa, and Rabbi Yochanan says, who is the Tana of the Baraisa who maintains that laundry is essential to life? It's going to be Rabbi Yossi. And it was taught in another Baraisa, one may not place Sheviis produce in a soaking pool for flax, nor into a laundry pool. And the Bavli, by the way, in Sukkah 40a is explaining the view as follows, where the Torah states that, Sheviis shall be for you to eat. And now where it's saying for you, this is going to include this phrase that's going to imply the produce that can be used in other way. And to eat is going to exclude its uses to other than eating. So the Tanakh here is saying that what the Torah means is that it's going to permit the use of Sheviis produce for any purpose that is similar to eating. And the idea is that when somebody's eating, they're benefiting from the product that he consumes. And the idea here is that the Sheviis produce is being used for other purposes other than eating, but the idea is that the produce, has a benefit, and the benefit is derived from the product while it's consumed. And the produce may not be used for a purpose that's going to result in the benefit being derived after the produce is destroyed. So over here, when you're soaking flax or laundering clothes, and the idea is that the product is going to be ruined immediately, and you're not going to get a benefit until much later. And that's why it's going to be prohibited to soak flax or do laundry in a Sheviis beverage. Now, again, since laundering is an essential thing to life, the idea that the Gemara is trying to get at is that it's basically going to be like eating. And because it's going to be like eating, because it's essential to life, it's going to be a permissible use of Sheviis produce, even though the benefit does not coincide with consumption. So would you be able to use your Sheviis money to pay the kovis, to pay the laundryman? And the answer is yes, because this is an essential thing of life. And you wouldn't be allowed to use the Sheviis money to pay somebody to cross a river, but you are allowed to pay the Sheviis money over to the laundryman because washing the clothes is essential to life. And that's really an amazing thing about trying to understand the laundryman. One of the things that Hillel the elder says is that there's many ranges of things that we're supposed to be studying in our general yearly study. Some of them are halachot and mishnayot and midrashim and the Gemaras and the Tanakh and the scripture, and also the way these things are expounded in the for the mikra to really understand scriptural analysis, and also the stories of foxes is included in there and the rabbinic stories. But also one of the things to an essential, well-rounded Torah scholar, says Hillel the elder, is to know the stories of the kovis. And so this is effectively one of the ideas, is that laundering clothes is going to be essential to life. Now, the Gemara is going to answer that bathing is not comparable to laundry. So again, we have the laundry, what the laundryman would be representing. Now we have the bathhouse attendant. Why can't you just give the Sheviis coins over to the bathhouse attendant? What's the problem? And Rabbi Mana says that a person can manage without bathing, but a person cannot manage without laundering clothes. So the Mara Fulda says about this that the failure to bathe one's body is going to lead to the development of boils and sores, and that's going to be manageable. But failure to launder the clothing is going to lead to dementia. That's not manageable. Mental illness is not manageable. And also, by the way, if one, God forbid, is in the shoes of descending into mental illness, that's also like a something that's not going to be very manageable. It's going to be very difficult to deal with. So Rabbi Yossi is holding that laundering is essential to life, and he's holding that bathing is not essential, and refraining from bathing is not even going to constitute self-affliction. And so the Brisa that we just talked about is stating that if there's not enough water for both cities, the city that owns the spring does not need to share the water with a second city, for the residents' own lives take precedence over the lives of others. And the Gemara is going to talk about an incident in which the source for this ruling comes to light. Rabbi Yudah of Chutzi went into seclusion in a cave for 3 days, and he wanted to arrive at the source of this ruling. And this, by the way, is a great story, and we can learn a lot from this. So the Gemara says, from where do we know that the lives of the residents of this city take precedence over the lives of the residents of another city? In other words, Rabbi Yudah thought that by going into the subject in isolation, he'd be able to uncover the source of the ruling. And basically, he left the academy of Rabbi Yossi for 3 days. And after he had trouble understanding Rabbi Yossi's ruling that the city's launderer the laundry for the city is going to take precedence over the drinking needs of another city. So you can see, by the way, a version of this story in the Bavli, and the Bavli Yerushalmi are presenting two versions of the same story. And in the Bavli version, he left the academy because he had a difficulty with the concept that laundering is an essential thing to life. as well as drinking. And in the Yerushalmi version, he has difficulty with the premise that people in the first city may retain the water to save their own lives at the expense of the lives of the second city. Okay, so the Yerushalmi is implying that in the absence of a source to the contrary, the residents of the city that owns a well would be obligated to share their water with the residents of another city, which could result in people getting dementia and mental illness because of lack of laundry. So Yudah of Hutzi, this, by the way, he's not given the title of rabbi. You should know that. So it's a guy who is not given the title. Gemara does not recognize him as a rabbi. His actions are going to show that. So Yudah of Hutzi went into seclusion in a cave for 3 days, and he wanted to arrive at the source of the ruling. And the Gemara says, from where do we know that the lives of the residents of this city takes precedence over the lives of the residents of another city? And after toiling fruitlessly for 3 days, he came back to his teacher, Rabbi Yosei bar Halafta. And Rabbi Yosei says to him, where have you been? And he replied, I went into seclusion in a cave for 3 days, and I wanted to arrive at the source of the ruling. And from where do you know that the lives of the residents of this city take precedence over the lives of the residents of another city? And Rabbi Yosei calls his son, Rabbi Avor Demas. By the way, I think this is the only time that Rabbi Avor Demas shows up in the Shas. But anyway, so Rabbi Yosei's son, Rabbi Avor Demas, says to him, he says, respond to this one with a scriptural source. And the Gemara continues and it says, from where do we know that the lives of the residents of the city take precedence over the lives of the residents from another city? Where do you know this from? And Rabbi Avor Demas says to him, the verse, these cities shall be for the Levim, a city, and its open space around it. So this, by the way, is in Yeshua 21:40. And over there, this is talking about the 48 cities given to the Levim. The Torah commands that. And according to this simple reading, the verse is stating that the Levim were given those cities together with the open spaces around them, which, by the way, the Torah commands. So it can be expounded as follows. So where it says hinya, sorry, let me Tehiyana. Okay, so these cities shall be Tehiyana, and it can be read as these cities shall live, where you could read it as Tehiyena. So instead of reading it and vowelizing it as Tehiyena, you're vowelizing it as Tehiyena and Tichiyena. So the remainder of the verse sets forth the order of precedence for sustaining life. So this is going to continue. It's going to say first, a city. In other words, each city's resources shall initially be used to sustain its own city's residences, and afterwards, says the Gemara, they shall be used to sustain its open space around it and the neighboring communities. And Rabbi Yosei then says to Yudah of Hutzi, again, does not give him the title of rabbi, and says, what caused you to remain ignorant of this source? And the Gemara ends, and it says, the fact that you secluded yourself and you did not study together with your colleagues. And effectively, the Vilna Goan says, if he had remained in the yeshiva and he studied with his colleagues, he could have arrived at the source, just like Rabbi Avor Demas did. And it's so important to study as part of a group. And studying as part of a group is very necessary to your success in understanding Torah. And part of the understanding of Torah is to debate your colleagues over complicated Gemarot and complicated passages and complicated issues of law so that you both can understand that, because there's a principle that iron sharpens iron, and the Torah, we're commanded to wrestle with Hashem. It's like, the Yisraelim, it's like they wrestle with Hashem. They're always trying to understand, and they're always trying to understand the infinite. And that's a amazing thing to know, is to know Hashem. And the way you know is by studying together in a structured learning program, and you work really hard to uncover complicated and difficult halachot, because that is the highest form of worship. Have a great day.